Whoa. That's small. All right, well, it's 6:30, so let's go ahead and call to order. Let me start the recording.
Recording in progress.
That mistake again. Okay, any additions, removals, or adjustments to the agenda?
Yes.
You had one, right?
Yeah, I did want to put some discussion about some proposals for design services for the Tardy property, the Farley Park.
Okay. And then I had a request regarding to move Riverview Road to another night. So some residents could attend, which is fine by me. And I do need to, I had taken, oh no, personnel's on there for executive session. It's just, we're missing a number. So I just want to make note of that. There should be an 8A, enter executive session pursuant. All right, yeah, under the regular agenda. Other than that, we should be good to go. Public forum. I know we have Anne Marie here, and I think she was hoping to speak during the public forum, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Thank you.
You're on.
All right. I have some general White House Commission stuff. First, I want to respond to the lease from the October 28th meeting. We had a question about room 205. Well, I was able to confirm that it was already included in the Friends of the Mad River proposed rent. So somehow between Fred working on what I had and it got mixed up in the shuffle, but it was already included.
Okay. And then I think you had sent me that update, but I had made the suggestion that you make a note of that. Or like you break in your, you're registering all
Yes.
the rooms and the rent, that you spread it out and then be specific about that in the lease as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So Anne Marie,
Okay,
there-
and
the rent was based on the total square footage,
yes,
so that doesn't change.
that doesn't change. It's something like $400
Okay.
a month, and it was including both rooms.
Okay.
Okay, then the next thing was, I have not received yet the default language that Chach was going to write. Maybe you sent it to Fred, but Chach, if you wouldn't mind giving that to me.
Yes.
And then I'll, once I insert that default language in, we should be good to go and sending out those leases this week.
Great, I'm gonna forward it to you right now.
Super. And then I had a question. Under landlord signature, would that be me or Christine?
I think the head of as long as we've approved everything that's in the leases, I think it's okay for the chair of your committee to sign that.
Okay,
And I think our motion might have specified that originally.
okay. Okay. Now, and then the next thing, I have a potential for writing another grant. Now, for background information, we completed a grant, the commission completed a grant a month ago or so for requesting $20,000 specifically for the roof. If we get that grant, we would be required to come up with the remaining costs for the roof, which would be $54,000. So the town would be responsible for the remaining of that. The commission has just started their fundraising. We've raised over $7,000 so far. We haven't had an actual event yet, which we're planning on doing. It's our idea that we would raise the rest of the money for that, for the $54,000 for the roof. But I have an opportunity to write another grant, and this grant is a National Park Service grant. The thing is that it's a matching grant. It has to be a matching grant. And the lowest, the floor that I can request is $125,000. So, I am requesting that the select board give me the permission to go ahead and submit for the grant. And if we get it, then we can decide at that point whether we want to keep it or keep it and then come up with the remaining $125,000, or we can refuse the grant. We can decide what to do at the time we figure, at the time we find out. I don't know when we would find out whether we got the grant or not, but it's my assumption it would be after town meeting, sometime after town meeting.
For both of those grants, or just the one
Yes.
that you're, okay.
What would the scope of work be, Anne-Marie? Would it include the roof?
Could, I mean, we all know the Brad Cook report came up with over $100,000 worth of stuff, and we've got the roof, that didn't include the roof. And it also did not include exterior painting, which we have the quote for $25,000, and we are intending on paying for that with the reserve money that we have. Currently, it is my understanding that the General Wade House Reserves has $70,000 in it. So, of course, some of the matching can come out of the reserve if the town chooses.
We've essentially signed a contract, I believe, for the painting for the springtime
Correct,
to get on his list. So
Correct.
that
that's right.
25,000 is committed. And then I guess my question is, in terms of the roof project, well, I don't know which estimate you're using or where your number comes from. And then also, does all of if you were to get the 20,000 with the understanding that goes to the roof, does all that money have to come from reserves, or? I'm just wondering if we could kind of, does it require a match in terms of a number?
It requires us to complete the roof and the cost of the roof on our own.
But we couldn't use it.
That's-
Could we use another grant to do some of that? If we had a second grant source and then we're only worrying about
Sure,
matching the one grant,
yeah,
we can do that.
exactly.
So we wouldn't need to be finding necessarily 175,000 if we get these grants. It might only be the 125,000
Correct.
minus whatever we have in reserves.
And as a fundraising tool, having the need for raising funds to match a grant that you've been given, that's a great fundraising tool for you, for the commission, if you get it.
Exactly. It's due December 12th. And, of course, Josh said that he would assist me with it. In other words, what I would do is I would have the opportunity of using most of what we completed with the previous grant. You know, all the questions are going to be very, very similar. You know, what is the history of the building and its use and its significance? And then once I complete a draft, Josh Schwartz said that he would be happy to help me out with that, with the rest. This specific grant is entitled Save America's Treasures. And what I'm proposing that I would focus on is that the General Wade House is a national treasure. It's not a Waitsfield treasure, not a state treasure. It is Waitsfield treasure, it is a state treasure, but first and foremost, this is a national treasure based on the significance of General Wade's impact on the Revolutionary War.
So just circling back quickly, you said that Josh Schwartz would be helping you with the rest of it. Does that mean administering the grant? Because the administration of the grant is a
No.
whole, okay, just making sure, because he's done a
No,
lot.
just,
already.
no, just, you know, he'll probably spend an afternoon
Okay,
and do his magic.
yeah, I think what we should do, so it needs to be in you need to submit it by the 12th. I would suggest that at one of our future meetings, that you have the grant application for us to look at, and then we can just authorize a signature as an action item. Would you?
That sounds great.
Right, how we handle it?
Yes,
Okay, sound good?
that sounds great,
All
that
right.
sounds great.
Everything else
Okay.
good? All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay. Do we have anybody else for public forum? All right, then we will go on to our regular business. We have review and update the work plan for FY '25.
I don't know how much detail we need to get into it. I went through and just took the recommended priority from last year and just kind of put in my recollection is where things stood. A lot of things are on hold, some things are completed, some things are works in progress. I didn't know the status of everything. And to the extent it will shape our budget, I think these discussions that we're having about capital projects will more likely shape the budget than just the, cost of living increases that we're likely to expect.
Right, but there's potential kind of reprioritization right now. A number of things that were on here last year have been completed, which is awesome. There's some that are still pending that may, either through grants, like we were just talking about with the White House, or whatever, may change in priority. For example, in my mind, the town garage, like we kind of stalled on the engineering, or the preliminary design and engineering study. Because I think if we can structure the RFP perfectly, that to me would be a high priority this coming year. Is like, we gotta start making progress on that, as an example.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, some of this, like if we go down, number 3, line item 3, we've completed the website, but the email addresses aren't done. So it's kind of like half done. We don't know about the record retention. We're back to working on the 4th road, remember?
Is that the latest?
I said it was complete because I thought that it was almost there.
It is almost there. I wasn't sure if it was complete from last time around.
No, it was not this last
Right,
time.
banking services
We
are,
put on,
that was on hold. Cemetery trust is on hold.
I said it was in progress because I expect the cemetery is going to be coming to us again.
Yes.
In fact, we've been told that they're going to be coming to us again.
Right, but then there's some work to be done as far as policies. Fire station stuff is still partially complete. Highway garage, yeah, it's on hold because we need the study, well, I mean, an engineering study is needed to evaluate the current building and determine if the structure should be renovated or a new location needs to be planned. I mean,
I think.
do we really have a
that-
question about whether we should be
I-
renovating that building?
Tell me, because I don't know the
There is
Tour.
Yeah,
there was a proposal for, addition
right,
several years ago, but
Yeah.
I think this is nuts.
yeah, I don't think it's feasible. I think really, I mean, if we can put it on the same area and build around it and then demolish is probably what we wanna do.
You know, we really should do a tour, and last time we
Yeah.
did a tour was summertime, and they said, please come back in the winter, when things are really ugly.
Alright. Well, maybe we can do that like early 2025.
Yeah.
We're making progress on the property maintenance over at the Wade House. Yeah, the pond stuff's still on hold. Municipal road general permit, that's being worked on. Paving project is still, as far as I know,
It's on schedule, right?
yeah,
Or-
we should be asking about
Yeah, we should check in on that.
putting the project out to bid. Our RFPs, I think, it's kind of work. The study on the Route 117 intersection project is kind of, it sounds like,
I've been told that
yeah,
they're ready,
They're moving
V-Trans will be
forward.
reaching out.
yeah. I'm not too worried about Boric ongoing.
Yeah, you know, it's really
grants.
not on hold, it's just our participation.
Yeah, that's on hold. No, and I think they've done most of the work that they set out to do. I mean, that's actually a question for them, is everything complete as far as their grant?
Bridges in, I think all of the
Yeah,
physical improvements are done.
so,
Just, Misha was out at my property, he's putting in another grant to improve that section of trail.
Then they,
Need to add, excuse me, Meadow Road Bridge.
Mhm.
yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
back up on
And then
roads,
Does
transportation.
the FEMA work sort of fall under grant administration, or is that a separate
I'd say
item?
that's
Probably.
another priority, a
Mhm.
new thing.
that might be. We have the AED, that's done, number 43, that's done.
Have we been trained on it?
You,
I have.
I mean, I haven't here, but
It's also, it's pretty good
I've
for
done-
first aid.
yeah, you can do
Yeah.
first aid training, it's pretty easy. There's actually, it'll talk you through the process if you ever need to use it. I think the local hazard mitigation plan has been updated and adopted, so that's done, number 42. We still need to update and review the procurement policy.
Mhm.
So moving right of way. I don't know what the language
We
is.
did the personnel.
Hazard mitigation.
Working within the right of way, that's.
Is that on there? Well,
I don't-
those,
I don't
I would
know
put
that it
those
is.
under policies
That-
because
okay.
we have right away, procurement.
So policy updates.
Um,
Do you know anything about the EV charging?
No, I should reach out
Yeah.
to Chris Badger and just ask him about that.
I think closer to when we'd had the auditors and there was some discussion of streamlining the process for reserve fund management. Am I thinking about? Would that be part of like putting banking service out to bid? Or is that a separate?
No, that's different. So the issue is the banking services out to bid is more like how much interest we're making and then just general management of the funds and ease of use type thing. Whereas, the issue with all the reserve funds is if you have a reserve fund, it's actually gotta have a matching bank account. So for each and every reserve fund we have, there's like a bank account. So we have the general fund, which is one giant bank account, and then all these little banks that have to be managed. And I think it gets to be a little onerous and repetitive. And I think like there was talk of like, would it be easier to restructure it in terms of like we have a reserve fund and then we track the different items that are supposed to be covered out of the reserve fund. Like we can internally say like, instead of having a Weight House reserve fund, we know that $50,000 of that money is for the general Weight House. And that, you know,
Just allocate interest proportionally.
yes, rather than say like reserve or an invasive species reserve. And a Weight House, like each one of those is.
And I think in terms of like, the impact that it has on personnel, right? I think that it's
Yes.
probably worth considering hedging against burnout if we can.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Right. I do think that would probably, I think it would take some sort of vote. Like, just because the voters have to vote to put money into reserve after they voted to create those reserves.
Got
So
it.
I am guessing that would be a process. Like, we're just gonna designate a single reserve and can we convert all those monies into that reserve fund? So, I mean, I think there would need to be a little research.
I also want to see any further stuff. I get the concept of shrinking the number of reserve funds. There's pros and cons. So the benefit of having clarity around this is a separate account, this is a separate balance, particularly when there's historically there's been turnover in staff. And it's easy for things to get sideways, and the accounting, if it's all one big fund for that accounting, can kind of get out of whack. And lose the clarity of what.
Yeah, I want to figure out what happens when you take 25,000 cash fund, you know, the 20 months, how does that get allocated? Any interest for the report?
I don't know that that's necessarily a particularly high priority thing. It was something I remembered having been mentioned, and I remember Sandy having mentioned how many reserve funds we have.
Right. So
And that there are very many, and that it is very fiddly.
bigger buckets or something. Not all just into one that can get hard to account for, but smaller number of general reserves.
Or, you know, maybe some of them, like, have a highway facilities reserve that's consolidates a couple of existing ones.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
Right.
Or like a fire department,
Yeah.
rather than equipment and
Yeah.
trucks and buildings.
Facilities.
Yeah.
Make it more nimble for us to deal with things that come up unexpectedly.
Right.
I'm just thinking a little bit forward in terms of the sort of systems that we use, and I guess there's been some turnover, but I think also that's, I wouldn't say that's cause, but I think that it wouldn't hurt to make it easier.
Yeah, I think there would be fewer tasks. I mean, it would still need to be tracked internally, but the fact that like they have to do all these deposits, transfers.
Maybe Sandy has an idea on
But I do think that, you know, it is a little bit longer term. Okay, so we kind of reviewed the status, Meadow Road Bridge, FEMA, and the right of way policy is on here. We'll put that in there. I mean, we do have like the regular policies, schedule for resolutions and policies. Yeah. Public festival. And we could just add right away that list, maybe. Okay. And then, so then people are ready to move on from that, we could look at, Brian found the memorandum from last year regarding budget goals, priorities, and progress for the FY 25 budget. And so,
Nothing really stood out.
yeah, I don't I think we keep the general municipal tax rate consistent. Continue to support the long-term goals of financial stability. 3 makes sense. I mean, maybe we could, well, if we're looking on planning to develop and address the maintenance needs. I mean, we're making progress on the White House. We could probably take 5 off there because that's mostly done.
Yes.
Right? It's our. And then I think 6 is an ongoing conversation. That, like the multiple reserve funds, I think we want to be mindful of which grants we're taking on at this point in time.
I don't know if this rises to the level of we're in the like 5 primary goals. I really think we need to update the capital improvement plan numbers when there's, you know, like home truck and stuff. My recollection from last year, those numbers, no one could really remember where those numbers came from.
Right, and they stay static. And the one thought I had, like at the very least, there's like, we do an increase everywhere else in the budget, right? And there's like a cost of living increase for salaries, and even if we've done the long-term capital planning, but the number that we're putting in every year shouldn't necessarily stay static. Like maybe respond to like, you know, inflationary costs. So like go up like 5% every year. Even though we have that long-term plan in place.
Yeah, I didn't articulate that particularly well when I'm talking about the cost of replacement equipment in particular.
Okay, yeah.
Some of the high ticket items where we know there's been significant inflation.
Right.
I don't think those numbers have been updated in this
Yeah, like
years.
probably those numbers haven't, and then, yeah. And then what I'm saying is more of like a strategy for anticipating that we know those numbers are gonna go up.
Mhm.
And that we have the money there when it happens.
Yeah.
Or just making sure the replacement cost accounts for that.
Right,
It costs 600,000 today, you should anticipate it's gonna cost more than that in 5 years.
right. But we shouldn't be putting money aside. Whether we know what the anticipated cost is, like, it's not realistic to be putting money aside, like, the anticipated cost is gonna stay stable.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and I think there's something baked into the formula
Mhm.
in that spreadsheet that does take into account some rate of inflation.
But I feel like the most recent rate of inflation in specific areas has been significantly more than anyone would have expected, like vehicles and.
Yeah, which updating the current cost of that equipment headlight on that.
Yeah. All right, anything else for the goals? All right, so then we would go on to the clerk request regarding cameras for the town office. So there's an email, somehow it got separated, and then the estimate as
Before
well.
we do that, I'm just,
Yeah.
as far as the next steps in the budget.
Mhm.
So I was, just for a little bit of background, Marissa, you said today you were gonna be there tomorrow as well.
Mhm.
We are dealing with JB and looking at the FEMA reimbursement process.
Mhm.
But I was thinking, of setting up a meeting with Josh Rogers and Charlie Goodman to start talking about the road crew budget. So I can let folks know if anybody wants to attend, and if two of you want to attend, we'll just warn it as a meeting.
Okay.
Do it someday. I'll do that, within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
Have any specific goal in attending other than just understanding?
I'm just thinking the roads are such a big part of the budget. That's
Right.
probably the first thing we ought to start.
Yeah, I think it usually is. And then I still have to set up a meeting.
We're facing.
And, yeah, Stacy.
They are planning to come to our December 2nd meeting. I don't know what we'll have for actuals versus projected for the shared maintenance of the roads. I don't know if we can find anything there.
I'll look in the downstairs on the
Yeah.
computer, see if I can find that. I did see that folder.
Yeah,
That
it's
shared
probably
agreement,
its own,
so, yeah,
its own folder.
so that in whatever formula.
I think they were hoping to base numbers. I don't know if it's budget or billing on our actuals rather than projected costs, but I don't know if it's ever truly possible. Like, we don't know how much it's gonna
Yeah,
snow
yeah.
from year to year.
Yep.
Right, like we can have an idea, but it all depends. Okay.
Okay. so
We good
yeah,
now?
Yep.
Sorry. Okay, so then on to the request for cameras in the office. And it sounds like this is a grant, $5,000 grant that Jen got for election security. And so one idea she had was to put cameras, keep an eye on the drop boxes.
Which are placed outside either of the doors to the office,
Yes.
right? So it's really has the of surveillance thing.
Yes, well, that too, and I mean, people put their tax payments in there
Yeah.
and all sorts of other stuff. So, but I think the reason that she wanted to specifically make sure it went in front of the select board was the piping that would be on the exterior of the building.
Painted the same as the wall.
Yeah, I don't think it's,
Yeah, it seems like there's awnings over both those entryways, and the
mhm.
conduit would likely be under the awning.
I don't think it will significantly impact the,
Yeah.
I don't
the
think,
exterior
yeah,
appearance, yeah.
I think that's fine.
So, motion
Okay.
to approve that request.
Okay, second,
Second,
all right, all those in favor?
Like,
Okay, great.
further discussion there, that quote is $2,000 roughly out of the 5, so some remaining funds. One of the items on the work plan was cybersecurity.
Mhm.
Seems like the physical, or the machine that counts ballots and all that seems pretty current, pretty new and pretty efficient. But then however we're transmitting that information to the state or county or whatever, would that be appropriate to try and focus on that, the email security piece that's in our work plan? This grant?
I don't, you know what, that would really be a question for Jen, because I'm gathering from her email that she really has to spend it, on what she deems it should be spent on as far as election security.
Mhm.
But I feel like that would be something you could pitch.
But yeah, I don't know how it works when those ballot machines are updated and the ballots themselves get stored.
I'll ask her tomorrow what
Yeah.
her plans are with the balance.
With the balance,
I'll be here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Then Brian would be on to your agenda item for farm department.
Yeah, so I've brought this up before, and I had talked to both. If you'll recall, a group of people came to us, I was part of the organizing group, Virginia Farley passed away. She was a longtime employee of Vermont Land Trust. Did a lot of work in the valley, Irish farms, Scrag Forest, Blue Ledges, the land trust. And they had suggested a private fundraising deal to use the Tardy property, which has basically been used as a gravel storage and then unmaintained for the most part, to make it a kind of a low impact park with some specific improvements related to kind of Virginia's legacy. One of those included a stone bench. I was pretty close with Virginia, and she spent childhood summers in Ireland and had a lot of fond memories around this certain stonework. And so they raised over $50,000, had a proposal from a landscape designer who the group really liked to do park design, and then a proposal for a bench design and construction. And then they transferred the money from the Vermont Land Trust to the town because the land trust didn't want to be hanging on to this money. And I mentioned this over a year ago to Randy, and he made the point, well, we have to do procurement policy. They're both proposals below $10,000 is for design work, and there's no property tax dollars involved. And talking with Christine, our policy does allow some flexibility for less than $10,000 projects. I'd like to get this off my plate and approve both of those proposals and just let them move forward to get Cindy on the property this year before the snow flies, so she can get the base documentation done and actually have the park design ready in the spring to do the work that we're hoping to do.
Absolutely. From
Yeah,
my vantage point, it's not.
I should have had this conversation with you guys 6 months ago.
Well,
Seems not taxpayer money, so the
It's also-
flexibility around the procurement policy seems appropriate.
It's also a landscape architect, right? And architectural services and
Yeah,
design
design
services are also an exception, I think.
I did not, I think so. I need to check that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did, by the way, I sent myself the policy. I'm going to take a look at it.
yeah, and
Maybe
it-
pass the draft around. So.
yeah, and if you look at procurement policies, like that window for like just getting a couple
Yes.
estimates would probably be like 10 to 20, or
Yes.
maybe more. So we'd be in that point where we wouldn't even have to get an estimate necessarily if we had an updated policy.
When I was doing contracts with the state 25 years ago, we had $9,500 contracts. Now,
Yeah. Okay. Do you need a motion, do you
Oh,
think,
yeah.
or? So. So like a motion authorizing the,
park design services and bench design and installation services for 2 vendors, less than $1,000. And
and it's the,
I said.
what's the group?
I'm
I
gonna
have
find
the
it.
names of,
Well, I know, it's the Farley,
Virginia Farm.
Friends of Virginia. So like, how about a motion authorizing Friends of Virginia Farley to move forward with park design and bench design services? Does that make sense?
Not to exceed
Not to
10,000
exceed
each.
10,000 each. Okay. Does that make sense? Josh?
Sure, I can make that motion.
All right.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Great. Select board roundtable. Do we have anything other? It's all select board roundtable at this point, right?
Yeah. I did, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I had one thing. I did, that piece of sidewalk is still not done. Sent the shapes, 2 emails about they're not being able to service.
No, it's not done because they haven't done the grading on either side of it?
Correct. I don't know what their plan. I have not received a response to either of my emails. But that needs to.
Who are you communicating with?
I sent an email to Erin, and first time it was just Erin. Second time it was Erin. Yes, to both of them. And JB was CC'd, so I don't.
Is there anything for the hiring update piece of that? before we got to
We're,
route?
yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. I know. I think we're gonna discuss some stuff in executive session. All right. So nobody else has anything for select board roundtable?
No.
All right. Consent agenda. All the minutes should be in there properly. I hope.
Get to read all the way through. that.
Okay. And I did put in on the 28th, we had executive sessions. Payables and treasurer's warrants, the assessor's request, and then the window treatments. And I
Time for winter.
what I realized was if we wanted to specify that the treatments are paid for ARPA or not. No, this is not how we normally do a consent agenda.
I think we did discuss that.
That's what
When we
we
talked about
Yeah.
asking for the proposals.
So we'll just be clear that those come out of ARPA. All right. Otherwise, are we all good?
Yes.
For approving the consent agenda as amended. All right, and then we're down through our regular business, and we'd be looking for a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of personnel. Anyone want to make that motion?
I can make that motion.
All right, is there a second?
I can second.
All those in favor? All right, great.
All right, so we are entering executive session. I also.
Short night.
Record
I
time.
need to.
At the last meeting, Brian was on.
Oh, yeah.
You need to have findings.
Yeah, but it's
That was specific to
Recording stopped.
privilege. Yeah, that's I think the only one that you need finding.